Hey, hey, welcome to another episode of Business Mojo and Margaritas, where I get all up in your business in 20 minutes or less. I am Suzanne Proxa, your host, business strategist, and coach for female entrepreneurs, and my jams just happen to be client attraction and marketing. So let's not delay any further. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Business Mojo and Margaritas. I am your hostess with the mostest, Suzanne Proxa, business strategist and coach for female entrepreneurs. My jam happens to be client attraction, and I am blessed to have yet another amazing guest today. Her name is Lori Granito, and she is a four times, you guys, TEDx speaker, 2 times Entrepreneur of the Year award winner, professional speaker, and $1 million business builder. She is the founder of Legendary Coaching and the Boss Lady Millionaires Club. I could go on, and this dear lady is up at 5:30 in the morning where she is to talk to me right now. So welcome, Lori. I am so glad that you are up and ready to share all this awesome knowledge with us.
Hi, Suzanne. It's fantastic to be here.
So we'll try to keep you awake.
Yeah. I had to contemplate whether I was going to go to sleep or not because I was actually out partying up until about 2 hours ago. So yeah, I decided to forego the coffee because I will try to go back to sleep after this. I'm not too pumped after we finish.
Oh, I love it. Well, you are a girl after my own heart because I am part Irish. And so if there's a party, I completely understand. You got to be there.
Exactly.
So you have been a TEDx speaker like a lot. How did you pull that off? How did you get to do that?
And so it's really funny. I have been mentoring women here locally. I live in Hong Kong first. I've been here for 25 years. I'm originally from New Orleans, and I do a lot of speaking. And I've been mentoring women for about just under that 25 years, just over 20 years. And I had wanted to do a TED Talk, but like a lot of people, I had talked about it a lot, but I didn't really actually do anything. And then an opportunity came up for me to apply to speak on a stage, and I filled in the application, and then I just left it on my computer. I did nothing with it. I was like, I could not hit send. And then a girlfriend came over to my house and my computer just happened to be open to this page that I would look at every day thinking, oh, should I not? And she said, oh, your application is done. Here you go. And she hit send.
Oh my gosh. Holy crap.
So, so I like to think that I would have still sent it in, but she handled that for me, and then I was shortlisted, and the so every TEDx event is curated differently. So the sort of the process that you go through is a little bit different for each one. So for this particular one, I had to actually go for an open mic. It was an open mic event. So in my mind, I had like this thing in my head that, when you see people that go for auditions for like plays and things, they'll walk onto the stage and there's like 5 people out there, you do your thing and they tick stuff and they say, okay, we'll let you know. So that's what I thought it was going to be. And then I rocked up to this venue and there were like 200 people there.
Oh no.
So it was the audience who was like judging who would get in. And there were 30 people that spoke that night. And out of the 30 people, they selected 6 of us to actually speak at the big event. And so that was how it happened. It was a total, I just got up there. It was a little bit like this morning. By the time they got around to me, because I was the last person, I think it was like 1 o'clock in the morning by the time I actually spoke.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so by that time I was just like, all right, let's just get this over with.
Um,
And then the last three events, they just sort of invited me. I didn't have to jump through that many hoops, so that was nice.
well, okay then. I don't know if you could hear the snap, but that's fabulous. So I am a huge believer in publicity, especially with as saturated as all the markets seem to be right now. And so I'm curious, when you think of being a TEDx speaker, what do you see as the benefit of doing that for your business, for yourself?
So first thing is that it gives you a massive credibility as an expert in your field. One of the things that I'll say that I did wrong, after my TEDx talk was that I just saw it as the one thing. Like I get up there, I do the talk, I share my story, and I go back home and live my life. I did not realize how much my life would change after I actually did that talk because I wound up being in a completely different industry. After I did that talk, I actually won my second Entrepreneur of the Year award. I transferred my business from, I was primarily in the restaurant industry and mentoring on the side to literally having people walk up to me and say, here's some money, can you coach me? So it was a massive shift in the way I was perceived both here and abroad in terms of the work that I create in the world.
Wow, okay, so I need to do this. I need to get over those fears and do this.
Yeah, and it's, like I said, it's something that everybody, I like to think that I would have, I'm a pretty outgoing person. I have no fear about getting on a stage, but I could not send that application in. I couldn't hit send.
Wow.
And it was that fear of my story is not going to be good enough. And then the other thing when I applied the first time was they had announced two speakers already, and one was like the equivalent of the ex vice president of Hong Kong,
Oh,
and another one
geez.
was like a anchor at Bloomberg Television, and so I'm like, they're not gonna pick me.
Oh, wow.
So I was psyching myself out.
Yeah. I was like waiting for you to say Oprah or something, you know?
No, no.
Can you
Then I
imagine?
really would have been freaking out.
I know, right? Oh my goodness. Okay, so now that people are kind of, they're pretty excited about this prospect, what's the biggest mistake that people make when applying to do a TEDx talk?
So there's actually two things I would say that are the biggest mistakes. The first mistake is that people think that, like I did, that you have to have like special credentials, you have to be famous, and so they psych themselves out, and they on their applications they pay more attention to like who they are and what they've done and what their credentials are, which is important up to a point. And, but most people forget that the main thing about TEDx is the idea that you have worth sharing. People don't actually spend enough time thinking about what that idea is. So, or they make it a little bit too ephemeral. Like they'll say, I want to help people be more authentic and be, passionate about their lives, which doesn't really say anything. So, so they have to really spend time crafting an idea worth sharing, which is what TEDx is about. And then the second big mistake that people do is really what I did is, after you've psyched yourself out, you never send that application in.
Hmm.
So, people think about it, but then they never actually go through with it.
Okay. All right. So, we hear a lot about story these days. Those of us who are in business,
Yeah.
we know the importance, but why is it important to develop a signature story even if you aren't interested in doing a TED style talk?
So that's a really good question. My while I do a lot of my coaching revolves around TED Talks and other high profile events like that people speak at. The main part of my business is really just is showing people how to get from where they are now to where they want to be, and a huge part of that is your story. Like, why are you doing what you're doing, and you know how you got there, what's behind, because people buy feelings, they don't buy your products, or when we buy Hallmark cards. Okay, they're a card if you need for a birthday, but the first thing you always think about is, oh, that made me cry, the commercial or whatever. So you really, people connect with you on a a, a sentimental level. So they want to know why you're doing what you're doing, and what's the solution you can provide for them. So in order to do that, you have to create a signature story or signature talk that tells the story of your brand. And it doesn't have to be really long. It doesn't have to be, something where there was a tragic, something tragic that happened. But people do need to know your why, and that will help you to position yourself as both an expert in your field, and your brand is something that people want to connect with.
Okay. So, one of the things that I see all the time is people are terrified to do this, to tell their story. And I know, for instance, I have another podcast that's more about empowerment, and it's women telling their stories. And one of the most terrifying things that I did was I decided I needed to walk the talk. And so the first episode is a huge chunk of my story.
Mm,
Terrifying. And that's
yeah.
a podcast. So what thoughts do you have around helping people, women, men, whoever, overcome that fear of actually telling the story?
So one of the things that I do with most of the people that I work with, and first I have to say that is so such a common thing that people go through, because we have the fear of judgment. I went through it as well. I didn't actually even tell my husband what my first talk was going to be about, because I kept going back and forth about, like, am I really about to tell all my business on this stage? Um, but the one thing that I say to people is that you have to remember that the story that you have is not actually for you. It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to that person or those people who are going to hear you speak, and you are going to create a difference in their lives. They need to hear what you have to say. They're waiting for you. And there's so many people that have come up to me. Even, I mean, last week I had somebody stop me in the subway and say, "Oh, I had, saw your TED Talk 2 years ago. I still, part of the refrain that I have in that talk, which is about overcoming, adversity, is just keep swimming." And they said, "Oh, we say in our office all the time, just keep swimming." So for me, it just means that, that's somebody that, I didn't know, but they're still talking about that. That has helped them to, it's helping them to get through things. Um,
I,
and the other thing is that, not only is it like not your story, but in order get um, to get past that being fearful, to get past that being afraid, is to understand that the thing that you are afraid to share, the thing that you are ashamed of, or you think people are going to judge you on, or that you don't want anybody to know, that's actually your superpower.
mm,
Because once you have put that out, and once you have released it, and you've released whatever, shame, you've owned that story, and you're able to walk on top of it instead of staying mired in that story, then you make yourself that much more powerful.
yeah, and the thing that really struck me um, was you said they're waiting for you. And I think
Yeah.
that Yeah, we have to keep that in mind. People
Yeah,
are looking for people to stand up and tell their stories. And part of the reason why they're waiting for you, I think, is because they're looking for that leadership. They're looking for somebody to make them feel, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one.
exactly. Exactly. I mean, I did my first TED Talk. I had a lady who I've known for many years, and she's really successful. She's got her own PR company. She works with big hotels. And I remember her coming up after me because I basically just talked about how, I was like we were so broke. I couldn't even buy diapers for my kid at the time. And and she's somebody that you look at her and she looks like she's got it all together. She's always really well polished. And she came up to me afterwards and she said, "Oh my God, you know, we went through very similar circumstances." She said, "I had a client coming over from the US and, normally we take them out to a swanky restaurant, but we had to make up some kind of story so that they could have movie night because we were literally fishing out coins from our sofa."
Aw,
So that gives people permission to say, you know what I went through is okay. I'm going to, I'm not the only one.
yeah. I mean, it's so funny, the story you just said. I was terrified to tell people that I got to the point where I had like $50 in my bank account, you know.
Girl, you were rolling in it.
I was I was. I'm like, yeah, there's no paying the mortgage with that, girl. No. But yeah, it was terrifying to put out there, and then all of a sudden, everybody was, they rallied. So,
Yeah.
and there were a lot of people who were like, yeah, same situation. Didn't want to give up on their business, didn't want to go back to a 9 to 5, weren't clear on what they were doing, whatever. There's a laundry list of reasons, but
Yeah.
yeah, so it matters. And
Yeah.
so with that, I think this is a great lead in because you've been very successful and your goal is to help create more millionaires, right? Women?
Yeah. I have I'm a horrible employee. Let me just say that up front. So I can't work for other people. so
I'm starting to feel the same way.
so I've been an entrepreneur for as long as I can remember. But when I moved out to Hong Kong and I started my first business, my first big restaurant here, the first year that we opened, I made $1.6 million, which wasn't, I was 27 years old, but it didn't even register to me that that was like a big thing because, you just think about money differently here because everything is so expensive. And so after I kind of pulled myself back up, after going through that situation where we literally lost everything, and I was down to my last 100 Hong Kong dollars. Well, not even. Part of my story is that when I went to go down to the ATM to get this 100 Hong Kong dollars out, which is about 12, 13 US dollars, I actually had $97 in my account. And so I couldn't get it out of the ATM machine. I had to actually line up to go and get the money out. Um, so when I got back on my feet and I started my new businesses, and eventually got to the point where I was making money again, and I've been able to consistently do that for the last 12 years, stay between a million and a half and $3 million in annual revenue in my businesses. And then last year, I came across this statistic that only 2% of women owned businesses ever hit a million US dollars in annual revenue. And I
Oh,
was really shocked to learn that. I mean, it, it just didn't never occurred to me that the number would be that low. And I think it is because as women entrepreneurs, we see it as a really big number. And a lot of times it's something that we think is for other people and it's scary and we can't reach that number. We think, of course, we'd all like to get there, but my mission is really to break it down and show people that it's not magic, it's just math. and that no matter what business you're in, no matter what you're selling, there is a path and a map for you to be able to reach that million US dollar mark in your business. Now, because I like to tell people I live in reality, if you're making $1 million in your business, that doesn't necessarily mean you take $1 million home in your pocket. Obviously, with any business, you have to invest in it. You have to pay, your people that you outsource to, or your staff if you have staff. Um, but it is just getting people to create in their mind that yes, this is possible for me. Because once you hit that first million US dollar mark, then it becomes very easy for you to start thinking about, how do I scale past that?
Yeah. So I would like to hit that $1 million mark. I am working on that.
Yeah.
I want, that is a goal. I want to get there.
Yeah, well, I just actually did my first Millionaire in the Making retreat in Bali.
Oh,
Ended at the end of April. We were there for a week. We had women from all over the world that came in, and we literally spend a week just recharging, rebooting, and refocusing on your business and creating a rock solid map to get from wherever you are now to $1 million. And I always tell people to focus on 3 to 5 years, because even if you're starting from zero, that's a doable task.
okay. Very cool. Now, I love that. So I see my vision board changing. I see it changing. So do you have any additional thoughts for, the people that are listening in today? One or two tips that you want them to walk away with?
So yeah, I mean, the main thing that I want people to walk away with is remembering that story is not for you. That the story that you need to share, it's not for you. It's for somebody else. The person who is waiting to hear what you have to say. And when you release any kind of shame or fear or guilt, and you know this from doing your other podcast, when you release it, it's almost like a physical weight that comes off of you,
Mm-hmm.
and it allows you to move forward in so many other areas of your business and in your life. And being able to say that, what I call make your mess your message. Whatever the mess is that you have, had in your life, or that you don't want people to know about, make that your message. And by making that your message, then you can figure out how to actually monetize that. And that doesn't mean taking advantage of people. It just means that, connecting with people. Like you said, when you told your story, people just kind of rallied to you
Yes.
because you gave them permission to be truthful about who they are and where they want to go and where they've been, and that they didn't need to hide it anymore. They had somebody else that was out there saying, this happened to me, I got through it, you can too.
Yes.
And then when growing your business, the one thing that I say to everyone that I talk to is, believe bigger. Believe that whatever it is that you have on your vision board, or whatever it is that that target number is, add another zero to it, because
Nice.
it's possible.
So a
Yeah.
billion. Okay. So, Lori, first of all, we need to get you back to bed. And number two, I know that people are going to be like, okay, I need to find this lady. How do I get in touch with her? Where do I find her online? And does she have anything like a gift or something for me?
Yeah, so online, the easiest way to find me online is on Facebook. I have two groups. One is called Make Your TEDx Dream a Reality. And then the other group is called Boss Lady Millionaires Club.
Nice.
And then I do have a free gift that I'd like to share, which is a TEDx bundle, which has an ebook that is called The Path to TEDx. And it's a great resource even for people who don't really think that they want to go to do a TEDx talk, but it will tell you why you need to start speaking. I believe that anyone who is in business, you need to speak in public. That is how I have managed to grow my businesses exponentially, because you can't, nobody's going to come to your house and say, here's $1 million. They ain't going to knock on your door and do that.
No.
But you have to be seen, you have to get heard, or if you want to get paid. So it's a really great resource. And then there's actually another a list of all upcoming TEDx events for the next 6 months that you can sort of dig through and see if there are any in your area and that you want to apply to.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you, Lori. Like I said, I'm a publicity geek. So this was super exciting for me, and I'm feeling a little inspired.
Fantastic.
So because I
See,
don't
if
have
we
enough.
had talked 2 hours ago, I would have had you inspired and dancing.
Oh, and I loved dancing is my thing. Like on the list of things I like to do, it's number one. So yeah, I would have joined you for sure. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. Super fun, super educational as well. And we will let you get back to bed. And to the audience, thank you so much for listening again. I adore all of you, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to another episode. I'm so glad you decided to roll with me yet again. Hey, if you loved it, please give me a rating and some little comments on iTunes. And hey, if you're thinking that working together with my crazy self sounds like a fantastic idea, hunt me down, SuzanneProxa.com. That K is before the S. You can find all of my coaching information, my blog, my courses, all of the things, all right in one spot. And with that, I will see you in the next episode, gorgeous.